Business Recoded is finally about how can you recode your leadership. And this is perhaps the most important and exciting one. It's about stepping up to lead your business into a better future. It's about having courage. It's about being vulnerable, to open yourself up to change and to the fact that you don't know all the answers. In fact, I think the best leaders aren't the people who have all the answers. They're the people who ask the best questions. But in today's world, we have leadership which needs to be far-sighted. It needs to be curious. It needs to be the champion of not just the business being successful today, but where the business goes next. You know, look at people like Jeff Bezos, for example. He famously says, it's always day one. Because you're always the entrepreneur, and day one has its advantages. Day one, you walk into the office, you have dreams, you have ambitions, you have a clear desk, you can do anything. Day two is when the emails and the files start to pile up and you get swamped by all the tasks. But if you keep it at day one, you're always moving ahead. You're always thinking about the future, and you're always full of your dreams and the confidence to make those dreams happen. So courage becomes incredibly important for leadership. How can you have the courage both to do things which nobody's done before, to be able to take those steps which obviously have risk, both to deliver today, but also to create tomorrow at the same time? And how can you take your people with you? How can you build the desire to follow you as well? How can you also create a legacy? How can you leave something behind? That's an inspiring thought. What is it which the world will have? How will the world be a better place? Or how will your company be a better place as a result of you? And we look at many other leaders, from Daniel Ek at Spotify, for example. You know, he found himself quite an introverted guy. And so the question was not how can you be one of those extroverted leaders, but how can you actually take your strengths? How can you take yourself, and how can you be your best self as a leader? And that's what he had to work on in terms of stepping up from being a technologist to being a business leader. Or take somebody like Ilkka Paananen from Supercell, one of the world's leading gaming companies. He says, I'm the world's least powerful leader, because leader isn't about power. It isn't about telling what people to do. It's about inspiring them. And what Supercell has is actually a series of cells, lots of teams of game makers working together on their games, doing what they love doing. And he's the facilitator. He's the support service, helping them to do that the best possible way they can. And when people get out of the way and let people do what they love doing and to unleash their passion, leaders can actually be much, much more successful. So the real challenge for a leader today is, how can I create the future? How can I use my business as a platform for change? How can I drive change internally? But also, how can I create more progress for the world and more positive impact for the world? And actually, in today's world, a world which is difficult, a world which is uncertain, it's complex, it's crazy, how can you not just be ordinary, but how can you be extraordinary? So I'm looking for leaders who can be bold, leaders who can be brave, and leaders who can be brilliant.